We're live at EXPERT35. I'm your host, Gabriel Garcia. Again, as promised, 35 different industries, expert from its industry, talking about the challenges, the hardships, and the opportunities. And today we're talking about opportunities backed by popular demand. We got Fresi Travels, Tami and Lou. What's up, guys?
Hey,
Hi,
Gabe, how you
thank you
doing?
for having us.
No worries.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on a Sunday. We know this is like prime time. People are planning their trips. Last time we had you guys on the show talking about how the industry is changing and how people are going on these like semi-luxury or semi-private luxury tours. And I mean, the crowd, everybody was just asking like, what are your favorite places and how can you do this? And today we're gonna be talking about Japan. So tell us a little bit, how many times or what is it that like got you guys excited about Japan in the first place?
Lou can go
You want me to
first.
start? So I think I've been to Japan now 5 times, but since in our last interview we talked about, hey, what's one of our favorite places, and I nominated, hey, one of my favorite places is Japan. Then we'd have to do it justice by providing this presentation to the folks that see it on the reasons why we like Japan, and hopefully, while we go through this presentation, people can see the reasons why it's a great place to visit.
How many times have you gone, Tami?
I don't know. I already lost count, so I think it's 20 plus, but I lived there for 3 months when I was 15 as well. So.
Nice. And Lou, how many times have you been?
5.
Perfect. Now, before we get into this presentation, we'll just set the premise like, hey, you guys can actually help people go and like make these trips. So we're really going to talk about just how exciting a country and a culture can be, right? So if you guys want to join the conversation, you can text EXPERT35 to the number on the screen. They have their own Textify number. So if you want to learn more about Japan and where to go, you can actually text Japan to that number, and it's going to give you this presentation, and it's going to also give you access to Fresi Travels that can do this whole incredible experience. But with that, let's let's go to Japan, guys. I'm going to get off the screen because I'm not as important.
All right.
Who's going to start off, just so that I can keep you on the screen while I make that? All right, Lou's going to start off, so I'm going to put Tami on the sidelines, but we can still hear you, Tami. Everybody can still hear you.
Perfect.
And let's see if we can make, nope, we don't need Lou that big. There we go. We got Lou on the corner, and we've got, let me see if I can take that off real quick. And I should be able to click on there. All right, Lou, it's your screen. Go for it.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and take you through a journey of Japan. So if we can go ahead to the next slide, let's talk about the reasons why, why visit Japan. Japan is a country where ancient traditions and culture merge with modernism and technology. Basically, you can visit an ancient temple surrounded by kimono dressed ladies, and the next thing you know, you'll be traveling to one of the fastest trains in the world through stunning futuristic high-rise buildings. Another thing that makes it so important to travel, it's really, really safe. It's up there as like one of the top 10 places to visit on the safety factor, so you have that peace of mind. Right now there has been an increase of solo travelers, and especially of women traveling solo. So this is really a great place for women that like to travel solo. Japan is a good hotspot for that. Not to mention, it's super efficient. It's super, punctual, as with, all of the forms of transportation, especially the subways. Literally, I mean, the time that they say they're going to go, they're going to take off, but they sit there and get there. They normally arrive like 10 minutes earlier. The cleanliness factor, it's a very clean country. It ranks up there as one of the top 10 places to visit for cleanliness. Goes without least saying, the people in Japan are absolutely fantastic, as they're very respectful of other people. I mean, if going to New York, you can see people shoving, during like in the subway. You don't see that in Japan whatsoever. Everyone, has orderly fashion when going on the subway, and people are just fantastic. One thing that we left there at the bottom, last but not least, is Japanese cuisine. It's one of the best cuisines in the world, with the highest number of Michelin star restaurants, which we'll actually talk about as part of the presentation deck. And it's one of the favorite places of Anthony Bourdain. He actually made a statement that if he had to eat in one city the rest of his life, that actually would be Tokyo. So we'll show you some of those pictures and as part of this presentation deck.
Perfect. That's beautiful. Somebody's asking, when is the, here, I'm going to throw that one in there because I don't think that's in here. When is cherry blossom season?
So there's not an exact date, but it's between March and April, and it varies through the entire country. So it will start in the south and then goes to the north, because the north is it's colder than the south. But it's between March and April where you can see the cherry blossom. There's a calendar that I think they put it up just a few months before, and they start counting the days, and they can kind of tell when it's going to fall exactly. But it's only a few days that you'll see the full cherry blossom.
Perfect. All right, I'll let you guys take it away.
So I'll talk about some Tokyo highlights. There's so many things to see in Tokyo, really. So we just took a few of the pictures that we had, but there's so much to see. So one of the highlights is the Skytree, where it's an observatory, so you can see the entire city. And if you're lucky, you can see Mount Fuji from Skytree. However, Mount Fuji doesn't show up very easily. You have more probability of seeing Mount Fuji around winter time. So it's just pure luck. One of the temples that it's very famous and everybody goes there is Sensoji Temple. It's very close to Skytree, and that's the picture that I think I'm jumping there. Besides being an incredible temple, you have a lot of shops outside of the temple. So I always like to go and just eat around, see what they have, snacks. I normally eat rice crackers there, but you also get a lot of souvenirs. The other picture that we're showing, I think on the left-hand side on the bottom, is Harajuku. That street is Takashita Dori, and it's packed with people, especially over the weekends, young crowds. There's a lot of shops, and that's where you can find the most unusual desserts. So you have a lot of crepes there, ice creams, and all the young crowd hang around that area. So it is for people watching, and you'll see people dressed up in anime. And the last picture that we have is the Imperial Palace. You cannot go in, but just walking around the Imperial Palace is beautiful. And I don't know if you'll be able to show the video, but that is the famous Shibuya crossing, where you have, I think, like 6 different streets crossing at the same time. So that's where I was crossing the streets in Shibuya. But I don't know if I will be able to actually play.
Let me see if I can get that video on there. I'm linking them kind of like as we can. But I do have a question. Somebody's asking, how is the sake out there?
Oh my gosh.
Luke can answer that. He likes drinking sake.
Sake is amazing. I think we actually ended up bringing back more bottles than we could actually fit in our bag. But yeah, there's really, you can actually go sake hopping, kind of like bar hopping. Mm-hmm. You go to different sake breweries and learn about how they make sake, and then do the taste testing. And sure enough, you're probably gonna be buying every bottle that you taste.
That's awesome. All right, let's see if we can get this video streaming real quick. 1 second. Oh, there we go. I can. I'm just gonna have to make it smaller.
No,
that's not the one.
That's not the right one?
Yeah.
That's not the right one.
You can play it.
Well, we got one. You guys want to play it?
Yeah, we can play that one.
That's for the next slide, but we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, perfect. Well, like here, why don't we go to the next slide and talk? Oh, wait, there you go. I'm playing the video inside.
Yeah.
I'm just here. Let me see if I can make that bigger. This is you know, we're learning a new skill out here, as you can tell. And I need to hide the first video. Let me see if I can make the other one bigger.
I saw it playing there.
Yeah, so it plays for a mid-second. I can see Tami in there.
There you go.
Yeah, it's just so you can see the amount of people that are crossing at the same time.
Oh my God, you know what? It's actually streaming, so it works. It doesn't work quite as smooth as we'd want it to, But you know what? There you go. We'll try it in there. If not, I've got a backup plan. All right, so we'll go to the next.
So we can play it from the presentation. Beautiful. Okay.
We can play some from the presentation. It's just a little choppy. We've got a better video. We'll put it in there.
Okay.
Oh, so you can play the Shinjuku video now if you want.
There you go. So I'm playing it, and you can see that I muted it. I'm not quite sure if this.
No,
so
that's fine.
There you go.
So in the Shinjuku area, there are old streets with izakayas. Izakayas is like tapa bars where they serve food as well as drinks. And Japanese people will go to the izakayas after working hard during the day and have a drink and also something to eat. So you can do izakaya hopping in that area in Shinjuku. It's very famous, attracts a lot of tourists. And so we went there and try a few different izakayas. So one that we went was the ones that are showing in the picture. And it is a very unique bar. Every bar there or izakaya, it's very small. So you can see a lot of people in a small location. And they put up business cards, napkins written down, photos. So everything is hanging over all over the walls of that restaurant. And I think we had some whiskey there, Japanese whiskey, but I think Luke can talk more about the whiskeys that we tried that day, I think.
Absolutely. For all those Scotch lovers or whiskey lovers, it's definitely a place to go try some of my takes of, the finest whiskey out there. But one thing, it's funny that in that bar, we actually put, our business cards. So I like to challenge someone to actually find our business card in that bar.
What happens? What are you going to give them if they find your business card in that bar? This is like a cash game. It's a global cash, right? Have you ever heard of global cashing, where somebody hides something and they have to find it? Right? What do they get?
That could be like your live
free ramen or a free sake shot with you?
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Question. Craig Murphy asked, your favorite ramen shop?
Oh, Lord.
I think it's called Ichiran. That's where, well, I don't know if it's our favorite, but we go there after we party with our friends in Tokyo. So normally, like around 4 or 5 a.m., we're eating ramen with them. And it tastes really well, but I don't know, is there any other ramen place around Tokyo? I know that there's a list and there's Michelin star ramen shops, but we haven't been to those. But we love that Ichiran, and it's in the Roppongi area. So after going out with our friends, drinking and dancing, we will go to eat ramen, and that's what most of the Japanese will do as well.
My great question from Jennifer is, do you need a visa to travel to Japan if you're a U.S. citizen, if you live in the United States?
Oh, if you are a U.S. citizen, you don't need a visa to visit Japan, but it will also depend on your citizenship. But U.S. citizens do not need a visa for visit, like tourist visa. No. Perfect.
Great question. And look, I'm going to try to I'll put the video full screen so people can see it, because it did get a little choppy when we were going through it. But there you go. Let me see if I can do that for a second. And there you go, with sound and everything. Wow. Beautiful.
There you go.
Here we go. Let me see if I can get you to the next slide. Oh wait, I'm still clicking on the wrong stuff. There it is.
Am I going to talk about
so Tokyo
Odaiba?
Odaiba? Yeah, no, I'll talk about Odaiba. This is really, this is a man-made island, and it's really pure entertainment. It's like the entertainment playground in Tokyo Bay. You can see there on the right upper left-hand corner, you have those that are huge fans of anime. You have the unicorn Gundam statue. It measures, I think, like 64 feet. It's massive. Then on the right-hand side, you see kind of like the futuristic island of Odaiba. And on the bottom right is kind of like the water bus, which is a futuristic kind of like water boat or water bus that takes you over to Odaiba, which is unique in itself. It's a really cool experience even getting on that water bus. And we just highlight a couple things, to go visit that when you're in Odaiba. The picture that we have at the bottom left-hand corner is a team lab called Team Lab Borderless, and it's a digital art museum. If no one's ever gone to a digital art museum, it's actually it's a pretty unique experience, and it's fun to attend because it's kind of interactive at the same time. Other things you can find at Odaiba is kind of like the Sega Entertainment Center. Talk about playing video games galore. Also the Museum of Science and Innovation, and believe it or not, some of whenever they're going to host the Summer Olympics, even though it got postponed for 2020, they're going to have some events in 2021, like beach volleyball, triathlons, and basketball will be held in the island of Odaiba.
And they also have Toyota Museum there as well. I think
That's
we
right.
opened that one.
That's right.
Oh, you gotta talk about this.
You can
This
play
is funny. This is a funny one. You have to play that. You have to play this one.
Okay, so I did get it online. Let's play the full one because this is gonna look so much better. We just hide this. There we go. That's gonna look so much better. You ready for this? Now, give us a little rundown before I push play.
So this is it is called the sumo experience, where you get the opportunity to wrestle with sumo wrestlers, but also have their traditional lunch. And they're very open, and you can ask any questions, I think before and after the lunch, because they have a very unique type of life and experience. And of course, they gave me the opportunity to wrestle with them, and I think that's the video that you're going to show right now.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Oh my God, that's hilarious. That's awesome. Let me put that back on. Perfect. I love that picture. That's you, Tami, right?
Yes, on the top. And then the two wrestlers. I was very surprised that they actually let me push them that way, and they asked me to push them that way because people in Japan are normally shy, but these two wrestlers were not shy at all.
Amazing. Love the sumo experience. Oh wait, now it's playing in there. Next slide. There it is.
The Wonder for a Samurai experience. For those out there, that's like the way of the samurai. It's a great experience that you could actually take a class on the way of the samurai with one of the masters there. That shows you how to maneuver and slice one of those mats that you'll see me actually cut up here if we're able to play the video. So they they get in, they dress you up, they teach you a little bit about the history. They go through kind of like a presentation before you actually go in and do it on your own. So it's worth a good tour.
Perfect. And we do have the video. Here we go. Let's play that.
Awesome.
Video. Let me take that off screen. There you go. Full screen. Here we go. 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 How many takes did that take, Lou?
He's grabbing to make sure I won't cut him.
Right.
Yeah. Go.
Yeah.
Go.
He's like, don't get too happy there. You can cut me.
Next final. Bend knee. Roria. Go. Go. One step back. No. That's one. Here.
Now, what kind of sword are you using?
Take a picture.
He was a demanding master.
Now, what kind
It
of
is a
sword?
real store.
Right, it's a real
That's
sword,
real.
but like, is there a specific grade or like what? I mean, look at all the ones that are on the wall, right? And if you look at your photo,
Yeah, that was fun.
amazing, super fun. I guess there you go.
For all those
That's
movie buffs out there, there's plenty of movies that were that are filmed in Japan, and we picked two. One that was really famous that won a lot of awards was Lost in Translation. So you can actually, and the cool thing about Lost in Translation, they did, the filmography itself was great because a lot of the places that they actually highlight in Japan, so you can actually follow the same places were actually filmed here. So you can see, upper left-hand corner is where they're actually doing the karaoke. And on the bottom right, you can see us there doing the karaoke as well. And then the bottom left with the upper right is when they're actually in the Park Hyatt, where they have actually that conversation. So we kind of took a picture of that, kind of like following Lost in Translation. And there's many other photos that we took that you can kind of do like a Lost in Translation 1 and 4, and follow the same kind of spots that they visited. So we thought we'd just highlight these, which is fun.
Hey, I was on mute, but on the previous slide, I was asking, in terms of the sword, what kind of swords were you using? And like, are they different grades? Because the wall had a bunch of photos, and that's what some people were asking is like, let me see if I can bring that back up. You see all the different types of samurai swords. Do you know what you were using?
Yeah, the one I was cutting with was the katana sword that they use. And I think they're just all different variations, I think, of the katana, if I remember correctly.
They have different sizes.
Yeah, there's smaller ones. Yeah, because they kind of carry multiple ones, like daggers. Yeah.
All right, there we go. We're back.
Oh, so that's me. Okay, so in Japan, they like to have a lot of theme restaurants. If you like trains or Hello Kitty or robots or cute anime, you'll find every type of theme restaurant. So this is just an example of one of the theme restaurants that we have been before. It's called ER Alcatraz. So it's a combination of an ER, a hospital ER, with a jail, like an Alcatraz. So if you see the pictures, the tables are inside a jail cell, and the waitress is they are dressed as doctors or as nurses, and the food is unique because they will serve you the food in a very different way. So for example, the dish that we see there, that it's blue, it's actually curry with a piece of bread, but the curry, they have made it blue, and the drinks are also very unique. You'll have a doll where the brains are kind of open, and that's the bowl where you drink your cocktail. And they also have cocktails that are not for kind of kids. Like we couldn't show those pictures. We can share privately those pictures about the other drinks that they have.
You wanted to keep it PG.
Perfect. I like it.
But that's something unique that you'll find in Tokyo. So this restaurant is called Gonpachi. It's an izakaya as well, and this is a very touristy restaurant. The Japanese won't go there, but it's very famous because this is where the idea of a lot of the scenes from Kill Bill were formed. And so you see one of the scenes in Kill Bill, and that's the izakaya that they inspire that scene from. And yeah, so they do have some live music at night, and this is the taiko. Taiko is the Japanese drums, so we can play it and see a little bit of the taiko.
I've got the full video, so let's put it in there so that you actually get a better experience. And let me hide this real quick. Here we go. That's awesome. Now, I've got a quick question from the crowd. Who's better at karaoke? Tami or Lou?
Lou.
Yeah, hey, Lou, you said you're about to buy a mic, so next time we'll get you on the show. We'll do a little.
Japanese love their karaoke. They love their karaoke.
And Jennifer also wants to know what's a flight cost? I mean, I imagine it's seasonal. Well, what are some of the things that we should be looking out for in terms of travel and maybe even now with some of the new travels?
So it depends really if you go direct or you go through another hub. But there's 2 direct flights daily. Well, there were 2 direct flights daily from Houston. One was with United, and the other one was with ANA, which is All Nippon Airways. And normally it's like I'll say 1,200, 1,500. That's the normal. If you get it like 900, that's cheap. If you go direct. But you can get it around that. It doesn't go below 1,000 normally. That's what we have seen. Of course, if you go during the holidays, that's way more than
sure.
that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and if you have the opportunity of trying ANA, we would definitely recommend flying through ANA. You still get points going through an ANA with United, so they're a partner.
Nice. Perfect.
Oh, Mario Kart. For those for those people that really like to get into the action within Tokyo, and this is kind of you can make you basically feel like you're part of a video game, but Fast and Furious at the same time while you're driving these little carts through Tokyo. You actually get to go through Shibuya Crossing that we mentioned earlier. So if we're able, I think you're playing the video there. It's really fun, and when you're passing by, people are looking at you, taking pictures. So it's a really entertaining experience to try the Mario Kart.
Yeah, we're gonna put the full experience because it does look better here.
Okay.
Let me put the full experience and hide this one. Let me show. We'll put the picture in picture. So you got Lou in the bottom right commenting as you're driving. Go.
Actually, me with the camera on while I'm driving. There I am, saluting the people. There's Tami running off into the wind.
Now, do you guys dress up for the tour, or were you guys also dressing up because you were going to another party as well?
You don't necessarily have to dress up for it, but it's part of I think that's part of the fun. You can actually buy your own costume beforehand, or they sell you costumes at the location.
No, I bet.
Yep.
Super fun.
That's part of the fun, though.
I love.
Yeah, you got to dress up.
I love that photo. That's awesome. Amazing. All right, here we go. Next slide. Got it.
So yeah, the famous Shinkansen, which is the bullet train. We kind of alluded to this earlier. Is kind of like one of the fastest trains in the world. I think it can go. I think at the max of 186 miles per hour, kind of like 300 kilometers. And it's just, we showed kind of like a little video here, but I was just impressed with how smooth this ride was. And you can see here on the pictures that we show is kind of like the train station. You see how clean that is. And, we highly recommend it. Normally when you go into the shops and you can buy kind of like the food that you can take on to the bullet train. And what amazed me there, like the first time I went to Japan, is that I actually ended up getting some unagi. And I'm like, well, I wonder how I'm going to heat, how can you heat this up, through the microwave, or how? I was like, no. So what you do is you actually pull a little thread at the bottom of the box, and it actually heats up your meal, and you got a full cooked meal. So unagi
are you pulling the thread right there?
Yeah, actually, yep. I finished pulling the thread, and
oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's so awesome. They're perfectionists at best, the way they present everything in Japan.
I'm sure. Let's show that clip because I do have that little video of the bullet train, and here it is.
That's a sick looking train.
Well, it's not like the metro in Mexico City, right? Awesome. There you go. Oh, I guess it showed it in here too. 1 second. I'm getting better at this.
So we couldn't showcase every city in Japan, so we're showcasing Tokyo and Kyoto, which are the ones that are very famous for travelers. That's the normal route that every tourist will take. Compared to Tokyo, Kyoto is more of the traditional type of city in Japan. So you'll get a lot of the cultural sites in Kyoto. So you'll get a lot of more of the old Japan in Kyoto than in Tokyo. So here we have one of the most famous sites in Japan. Besides Mount Fuji is Kinkakuji Temple, which is the Golden Pavilion, and you can see Lou in that picture. That's the highlight of Kyoto. Then we have the red one. It's Heian Shrine, and that's where they also film Lost in Translation. One of the scenes in Lost in Translation where the actress is jumping from rock to rock because there's a beautiful Japanese garden there. We also have the Nijo Castle, which is a famous castle in Japan. And you can see Lou featured in the picture. And the most famous shrine in Kyoto is Yasaka Shrine, which is in the area of Gion where the geisha area is. So those are like the highlights of Kyoto. But of course, there's way more to see in Kyoto that those 4 that I mentioned, but it's so difficult to put everything in one slide.
The crowd's asking for more photos of Tami. Apparently, Lou likes to be in all these photos, or Tami's in a sumo outfit, or
well, you can see here.
No, you can just explain the geisha.
Hey,
Tami, maybe we should go back and you should tell them the difference between the temple and the shrine.
Oh, so in Japan, the Japanese hold 2 different religions at the same time. So we have Buddhism and Shintoism. And Buddhism, it's so when you say temple is related to Buddhism, and when you say shrine is related to Shinto religion. And the Japanese live with those 2 religions, and so they have certain celebrations that happen either in the temple or in the shrine. So, for example, when you get married married in a shrine, but when you die, the ceremony is done in a temple. So that's the main difference. And one has a Buddha inside, and the Shinto is more like nature-wise type of religion. It's not like an actual god like in Buddha or in Christianism. So that's something that is unique for Japan, to have 2 religions at the same time.
We got Craig chiming in. He's been there before. He says that even the food from the 7-Eleven there is good. Like, the food is just incredible.
Even in the 7-Eleven, I always eat in 7-Eleven. Well, I'm always eating all day long, really.
Yeah. But one thing that we have noticed is you're always in an outfit. You're either in a costume.
But those are from different trips.
People should guess where Tami is right there, dressed up as a geisha. Where is she?
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. That, like, I know that's Tami, but it's like
she's
wearing a sumo outfit. She's wearing a Mario Kart. No, it's beautiful.
So from Kyoto, you can do day trips around the area. And one of the famous areas that everybody likes to go is Arashiyama. This is where the famous bamboo forest is. And you can actually sleep in this town. It's a small town, and they have Japanese style hotels. So you can either take a day trip or you can stay there. So, of course, as I mentioned, bamboo forest is one of the famous sites. And then there's also Tenyuji, and it's very famous because of their Japanese gardens. And I think that's the picture where I'm featured, sitting in front of the Japanese garden. So that's a really nice day trip from Kyoto.
Yeah,
you can
and
go
that's really important. Is in terms of people planning these, are you showing us? It's great to tell us like these are day trips, or this is like, hey, you should plan 2-3 days to get somewhere.
So you can do a day trip from Kyoto to Arashiyama. You don't have to sleep there. We have done both, even either sleeping there over there or just going there. But it depends on how many days you have available for your trip. We normally tell the clients it's a minimum of 10 days because also you're flying, and flight from Houston to Tokyo, it's around 13 to 14 hours. And then you might have jet lag. So we normally suggest 10 days at least. So you can do Tokyo and Kyoto, the minimum.
Now, and as far as like being there, Japan's super safe, but is there certain cities that just get filled and you're like, hey, you should probably like make reservations. You probably shouldn't just like show up and expect to find a place to stay?
So Tokyo and Kyoto are very famous. It gets really, really crowded during the cherry blossom, of course. If you go off season, and they do have some holidays that the Japanese, in Japan, everybody goes out and do sightseeing. So you have to avoid those holidays as well, because prices will increase and you might not find a place to stay.
Right.
But I personally like to go on the fall, November timeframe. The leaves are amazingly beautiful coloring. People like more to go to the cherry blossom because it's very famous, but I try to avoid cherry blossom for myself.
Right. Like when people try to avoid, Rio during like the Carnival and stuff like that. No, great point. All right, I'll get you to the next slide. But that was just some of the questions I've seen come through is, hey, how far is it or how many days? And I think that's really good input intel for.
Which is a good, coming into this slide, some day trips that you take from Kyoto. You can go to Osaka, which is it's famous for like kind of like a street food. It's for foodies, absolutely. Then you can go to Nara, and Nara, you can see at the top right, you have the Dozaiji temple right there. So that's where you can see kind of like all of the deer and bambis. It's like flooded with deers and bambis that you can actually feed and touch and play with, but they're pretty aggressive because they know you're going to feed them. So you got to watch out that might grab your bag or something like that. Also, you have at the bottom left-hand side is a famous castle, the Himeji Castle. And a movie that was filmed there was kind of a James Bond movie, You Only Live Twice, with Sean Connery. It was filmed in kind of like castle. It's a beautiful castle and definitely worth a visit. And that's right there at the bottom left, that's outside of the frame. We're kind of just showing you kind of the Kasuga Shrine, which is it's a great shrine to go visit while you're there. So we'll go over to the next slide.
Did I skip one, or is that the right one?
That's right one.
Okay.
I think it's the right one.
No, it went twice. It went two. There we go. Hold on 1 second. We'll
go back up one.
Street food. I just want to talk about street food. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Now we're in the right one.
Yeah.
So ryokan, it's a Japanese style hotel that we normally recommend the clients to experience, and at least for just one night. It's a really unique experience, as you can tell from the pictures. The rooms are very simple but very stylish, like Japanese style minimalism. And normally when you enter the hotel room, you'll see like seats instead of beds. And then at night, they will transform them with your beds, where you can see Lou sleeping or trying to sleep. Right now, there's more of the hybrid ryokans, where for the foreigners, they're offering like low type of beds because foreigners are not used to sleeping on the floor, on the futon. But the traditional one is sleeping on the floor with the futon. Also, what is unique about a ryokan is the food. So for breakfast, you can see what I ate for breakfast. It's on the box that is on the bottom left-hand side. That's breakfast. It's a lot of food: rice, grilled fish, pickles, miso soup. So that's the type of breakfast that you'll get in a ryokan. So in a ryokan, you don't have a choice of westernized type of breakfast. You only have the Japanese style. And the dinner, it's normally a feast as well. It is like a 7 or 9 courses. And I feature that picture on the top right-hand side. And that is, I think, 1 or 2 dishes only featuring that picture. And the dishes are seasonal. And they use everything that is around the ryokan area. So the fish is the fish that it can catch around. The vegetables are the vegetables grown around that area. And the ryokan, if it's located in a hot spring area, you'll have hot spring water in the ryokan. However, the difference within the westernized world and the Japanese world is the hot springs are separated men and women, but you have to be naked in order to get into the hot spring. You cannot be wearing a bikini or shorts or nothing.
Right.
You have to bathe before you get into the hot spring, and you have to be naked. That's a rule. There's no exceptions. Even the kids will have to do it. So it is a nice experience. And you can have a ryokan experience in very close to Mount Fuji in Hakone, or you can have a ryokan experience in a very small town off the beaten path as well. So the picture that I'm showing on the right-hand side, on the low right-hand side, is Kinosaki Onsen, a very small town, not that far from Kyoto, but it's you don't see a lot of foreigners there. So we normally suggest the clients to at least do a 1 night in a ryokan. But Lou can tell you more. I'm used to the ryokan and I love the hot springs. And I love the ryokan, but maybe Lou can chime in on his experience as well.
If you're a big camper, it's like a camping experience within your own room.
Nice. And a quick question. Somebody was asking, can you talk? I know, Lou, you were talking earlier about the rail. Can you talk about the rail pass?
So the rail pass is only offered for foreigners, and it's a 1 week or a 2 week or a 3 week pass. So you pay a certain amount of money for the entire week, and you can use the rail system as much as you want. But it's only for like the Shinkansen, the trains, not the subway. And there's some local trains that are not included. So what I'll suggest is you have to calculate really how many of those trains you're going to take, and if it's going to benefit you. Because if you're just going to take one train, let's say one Shinkansen ride from Tokyo to Kyoto, because then you're going to take your flight back from Osaka, then might not be worth it paying the rail pass. So you need to make the calculations before just jumping and saying, oh, it's cheaper. Yes, it's cheaper if you're using it, but if only you're using once, that it's not going to be cheap. So
well,
it depends.
We're talking about cheap. So this kind of, what should somebody budget for this type of trip? That's probably a good question, Jennifer. Who's on the spot?
For the food?
Or just internal? Like, if they're coming for the United States, what kind of budget should they have? Let's not put the flights in there, right? No flights, because those can vary. But what would be a 10-day?
But it depends on where you want to stay. Do you want to stay in Airbnbs? Do you want to stay in a nice hotel? So it all depends on where you want to stay, what you want to eat as well. You can eat from $25 per day to up to $1,000 per day. So the budget varies, because you can eat very well for $25 going to the train station and eating ramen or curry rice. But then you can be eating in a Michelin star restaurant for lunch, and then for dinner having Kobe beef. Then it is very expensive.
So first class, she's saying first class. So blow it up. You could be a couple thousand a day easy in terms of the show, the food. It's. I've had sushi one night where we were still hungry after the dinner, and it was a couple $1,000.
Yeah. So at least I will say 10,000, or more per person without the flights.
And right.
And if you want like a private guy with a private car, that's going to double that price.
True, and it depends the amount of days. I mean, yeah, it's all factored in, but yep.
Great info. All right, guys, let's get. We got a couple more questions coming in. I'll try to put them in as we continue. I've got the street. Oh, this is the best part. Everybody wants to listen about fast food. Let me make it full screen.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, we couldn't put all the fast food and street food that there is in Japan. We just put the ones that we took in our last trips. So the video that you're showing right now, that shows somebody cooking, that's one of my favorite street food. It's called takoyaki, and it's like a pancake ball, but it's savory, and inside there's octopus, and yeah, that's normally served on the streets. And I think that was filmed in Osaka, which is a famous area for street food. Now, the one that you're showing now on the bottom, that's a video of a revolving sushi, and you can find it everywhere in Japan. And some of them are very famous. This one was in Hokkaido that I went with my mom. We waited 2 hours to get in because the sushi, the quality of the sushi, it's really good. And of
So
course,
you should eat before you go eat.
yes, yes, yes. And it's very affordable for sushi lovers. The revolving sushi is very affordable, and you can get some really good quality of sushi in those places, and you can find it everywhere in Japan. What else do we have there? Oh, we have so there's Kobe beef street food in Osaka where they can make sushi. They also can make like a piece of steak for you, grilled. I don't know if they have sandwiches there as well. We ate sushi. I remember that one. Then Craig was asking about ramen, and I think that picture was taken after going out one night, and I think it's Ichi ramen, and
We'll
it's
put
like
it
so they have like little cabins, so it's a personalized cabin. So you go into the restaurant, or before you enter the restaurant, there's a vending machine. You can only use cash, and it's normally like 350 yen. And you put the yens into the machine, and they will give you a little ticket. Then you go in to the restaurant, and you'll see what seats are available because they have lights. And you just go into one of the seats that are available, and you hand your ticket to the person that is on the other side, and you get your ramen there. So they only serve ramen. They don't serve anything else. So in Japan, one of the things that it's very common and very different from here is when you go to a place like this one where there's ramen, you will only get ramen. You won't get teriyaki chicken. The same for the revolving sushi. It's only sushi. So when we say sushi, it's rice and then fish or seafood on top. They might have some of the rolls, but it might not be a lot of them.
Will
It
there be
might be
sashimi or mostly always on rice?
it's normally the revolving sushi is normally sushi or makis rolls, but mostly sushi, nigiri sushi. So yeah, there's some here in the States. You say I want to eat sushi, and people are thinking about the rolls. But when you say to a Japanese, I want to eat sushi, they're thinking the nigiri sushi, the rice, and then on top the fish or the seafood. And you will only get that. You won't get the teriyaki chicken or the salmon teriyaki or anything else in those restaurants. But it's very specialized in general in Japan, the restaurants.
How do they charge you? Like when you pull off the plate, is there like something you scan on the
Yes.
plate? Or?
So it depends on the revolving sushi. Ones are more modern than the other ones. One you just accumulate the plates next to you, and they have coloring. So each color represents different pricing. Then there are other ones that are more modern, and you have like a little screen on in front of you that you could also order a la carte sushi. But then you have like a little hole in front of you where you just slip the dishes, and they will count it automatically based on the color as well. So it depends. It depends if you're going to the modern one or the high tech or not. But that's how they charge.
Perfect.
The sushi.
me see if I can get you to the next slide. Now that I'm learning how to use my computer better.
Oh, this slide is right up Jennifer's alley, talking about first class, since we're talking about Michelin star restaurants. So here are a couple that we've actually tried that we highly recommend. Is on the first picture is Tempura Kondo. He's actually a celebrity chef there that you can go try the tempura. On the upper right hand side, you have the sushi Hoshiyama. Obviously, you're going to enjoy the sake while you're having your sushi. And for those daredevils, believe it or not, that last picture there is actually me trying blowfish. So it's at the restaurant called
right.
Google. So if everyone knows about blowfish, it's one of those lethal fish that you could actually try. And what was interesting when I went to this, when we went, is not only I was like, we're just gonna have like one course to try the fugu. No, it was literally a 7-course meal throughout. So I'm like, oh wow, so I have 7 times I could actually die while I'm actually trying fugu. So they give it to you in different variations, like fried and sashimi, and 7 different variations of how you can actually prepare the fugu. So that was definitely.
What was your favorite of the variations, or the one most memorable?
The fried one. I didn't show a picture of that one, but it was definitely the fried that I enjoyed the most. The sashimi, not so much. It was kind of like it was more a little bit rubbery than I expected from the sashimi standpoint. But there's a note there, like we put a factoid for, Japan has the greatest number of Michelin star restaurants, and Tokyo alone you have 225, so it surpasses France alone. So definitely, if you're a foodie, this is definitely a place you need to go visit. Put it on your list of places to go.
Man, incredible! Oh, and the Kobe beef.
Yes,
my
so
gosh.
a lot of people ask about Kobe beef. So we were just featuring how it's normally served. So there's different variations, but the most famous ones are, okay, to the right is a teppanyaki, which you'll have somebody cooking for you. People might think it's about the show, like when you go to an all-inclusive and somebody's cooking for you and throwing up the eggs to the air and then catching it with a spoon. That's not how it is in Japan. It's a very serious chef that will make your food in front of you, but there's no show involved. So if you're expecting a show, that's not where you should go at all. You should go to the theme restaurants. And the prices will vary based on the grade of Kobe beef you're getting. So the highest, the more expensive one. So that's why I mentioned that you can actually spend $1,000 a day eating in Japan, but you can eat the lower grade and have a great dinner as well. One of the variations of the Kobe beef is shabu shabu. That's a very traditional dish where you have like a broth where you dip in the beef as well as vegetables, and then you have different sauces. It's like a fondue type of dish if you want to compare it to something in the European side, but it's not fried. It's a broth, and the beef is just amazingly delicious. And you dip it in different sauces. Lou is laughing because I think he loves both ways of eating Kobe beef.
It looks amazing. There you go. Catching dinner.
Well, Lou can talk about his dinner.
The fishing restaurant. I don't know if we had a video on that one, but
we do. We do have a video. Hold on, let me see. I've got the.
We definitely stuck this in the fun dining experience where you actually get a little bit more interactive with your food. The first one in the upper left-hand corner, you see Tami there cooking the okonomiyaki. And then obviously you're playing the video of me fishing at a restaurant. So I'm fishing my food right there, which is fun. And that last one is the robotayaki. That if we can play that video, that is really great.
I got that one full screen. Let me see. I've got both of them full screen. Let me see if I can put that one. That one looks.
There's a lot of yelling going on in that restaurant. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Let me make sure we can shrink this. Now we can go full screen on that. 1 second. All right, there you go.
So that video basically shows you when they transition from the different like chefs that serve your food. But literally, they just have an array of food right in front of you, and it's all fresh. So you just pick, I want this, and that, and they're cooking it right in front of you. And then they sit there and they serve you kind of like with the palette, because they're all the way back, as you can see from there. I think the bottom picture shows you how they actually serve your food once they finish cooking it on that little kind of palette, and that's even how they serve the drinks. So it's really entertaining. Definitely not cheap. The robotakis are on the expensive side of a visit.
So when you do that song, that's kind of like when you're at Vegas and they're changing dealers. They're trying to show you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the same concept. Yep.
Man, super fun. Now, what if you don't catch now when you were fishing? I mean, I see flounder in there. What did you catch?
Gosh, I don't even remember. I don't remember what I caught, to be honest. Yeah, I'd have to go.
Whatever
you catch,
back. Right? Like, that's what you're gonna get, or is it more of like, okay, no, I really wanted the flounder, and you get to catch it again?
Yeah, and I think whatever you catch, it's yours. You're gonna buy it.
Yes, that's how it works.
Yeah, you can't throw it back in there, but there.
Oh, wow, this is good. The best experience.
Absolutely.
Hold on.
Absolutely. Goes without saying, the best absolute experience when you're going to Japan is actually the toilet, believe it or not. It's the famous the Toto toilet. And we're showing you a picture of kind of the different settings in Japanese. So it's funny that people that can't read Japanese, you definitely have to go with the picture to figure out where that's aiming at.
Yeah, what's it aiming at?
Yeah. And believe it or not, I own one of those in my own house. So I absolutely love the Toto. So it's, to me, it was the best experience. And
the best experience, hands down. Right, I'm gonna put Tami in the photo too. Here we go. We got all three. Tami, chime in on this. How was that experience?
So they have been using it for years. The first time I remember using it was when I lived there when I was 15. So that's a lot of years ago. So they have been using it for a long period of time. And this one is in a hotel. So in a house, they will have a little sink on top of the toilet. So you can wash your hands, and all that water is safe for the toilet. So it's kind of not recycling, but using the water that you're washing your hands into the toilet. But yeah, they love their toilets. And in general, the public bathrooms are impeccable. They're very clean. It's the only country that I don't normally take my wipes to wipe everything out. It is a country that if I forget my wipes, I'll be okay, because they all look like a 5-star type of restrooms in the public places.
Yeah, it's safe, it's clean, people are very respectful. It's just an incredible country.
Gaby, it's even safe to go to the bathroom. How about that? Super clean.
They also have music in the bathroom so that you can feel comfortable in a public bathroom.
Best experience.
You name it. Yeah.
You know, this is a good moment to plug. You know, text Japan to the 281-336-1744, and Fresi Travels will take you to the best experience in Japan. That's awesome. Wait, was that okay? We got a couple more slides. Awesome.
If only we have time, because
oh no, we totally have time. Jump in there. This is beautiful, and it's a photo of you, and people have been asking for more pictures of you.
So that is in Hiroshima. So that's another destination, but people do it only if they have the time to go there. Of course, it's very historical. It's very not only historical, but it's also very difficult, emotionally draining part of Japan. They do have a museum, and it is an interactive museum. You'll see some of the survivors' videos where they're telling their story. And here I'm outside of the museum. They have a park where you can live your origami, and those are the cranes, origami cranes. So you can make origami and donate it. For the Japanese culture, if you do 1,000 cranes by hand and do origami, it's when somebody is sick. That's giving them well wishes to get better, and somebody that is also sick can do it, so that you're looking forward to get better. And that tradition started with somebody that was it was a little girl from Hiroshima, and the doctors told her, so they knew she was in really bad situation, but they told her that if you make the cranes, you will survive. And so that's why she started making those cranes. So that is it's a tradition that we have and we hold. So when somebody's sick in our culture, everybody starts making cranes, origami cranes, and we combine them and do 1,000 of them. Instead of giving them flowers or cards, we give them cranes. So that's
actually really beautiful, right? Because it's like community, and it's very, and it, you know, and it makes you kind of meditate and think about it. It's not as automatic as going to flowers.com, although they probably have an origami.com website too. But I think the process.
No, you have to make it.
Right? No, I'm saying it's the same. That's beautiful.
Yeah, one thing to note is it's a very well made museum. It's beautiful, and really to really take advantage of that museum, it's literally a day. There's so much to see in that museum. You're taking a day to go through that whole museum.
Guys, this was such a journey. It was so fun, like seeing your pictures. I now have seen Tami in more outfits. Yeah. So next time, Lou, you take the camera and Tami gets in the back. No, super fun. I can totally see that, like, you really get into the culture, be part of it. I saw a great balance of like, hey, there's touristy things, but really get to see the countryside, get to see those areas where you can really learn what it's like to be Japanese and what that culture is like. So thank you so much for coming. It's so fun having, like, not only people that love traveling or experts from the travel industry, but you actually love traveling. You practice what you preach. I actually don't know how it is that you help people travel, because it looks like you just travel all the time.
Yeah, we're busy, very busy.
Yeah, no, I love it. Fresi Travels.
We work while we're traveling too.
I know. We put your number on the screen. You can clearly tell, like, this is the type of experiences you're gonna get. And as you know, obviously some countries are hard for us to travel to, because the US is on the no-fly list now for some countries. But as things like change, and obviously we talked about some of the luxurious travel, some of that will still be allowed. And, you know, love the idea. Love all the videos and everything you put together. You know, I think we want you back for another country. What's another country you guys want to talk about?
We're going to surprise everyone.
Yeah, it's a surprise.
All right, guys, thank you so much for being with us. This is Fresi Travels. Lou and Tami just sharing a great experience. We had a ton of people. There's a bunch of questions on there people want to know more about. So thank you for being on Expert35 this Sunday.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
All right, guys, thank you so much. We'll get you guys out of here. All right, that was Tami and Lou from Fresi Travels, just telling us just all the ins and outs, the experiences. It really is. I mean, it's all about your budget. Like, do you want it to start with 25 bucks a day, or do you want to blow it up? And it's just like going to Vegas too, right? Everywhere you travel, but working with somebody like them, they'll make sure that, you know, you get the most of those experiences, and also things that you didn't even know existed. So I hope you guys had a great journey this afternoon, and we'll see you guys on Expert35 this coming week. We'll learn about entrepreneurship. We're going to learn about restoring and preparing for disasters. It's going to be really interesting experts coming up. Thank you, guys. We'll see you guys soon.